Welcome Tulalip. Welcome to the Tulalip Business Committee's second report for the month of June, I guess it is. Being the second report, we hope we have some new information for you, and we are coming to you from the Tulalip Retail Center in one of the suites, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a few minutes, but I want to mention before we get started our Tulalip Business Committee. You're asking what is the Business Committee? And I want to thank Theresa and Teri, my Business Committee members, for sitting here with me and helping give this report. Thank you. Business Committee is comprised of 3 members of the Tulalip Board of Directors. Of course, we have 7 Board of Directors. And annually, when the chairman is named at the annual general council meeting, he or she names a committee to run the tribal business side of the equation. And Marie, being the new chair, named me as the business committee chairman, and then asked Theresa and Teri to sit on that side of the table with me. And conversely, on the other side of the table, we have the Services Committee, which you'll get to see their report as well. And Marie, the chair, did the same thing, named Mel as the chair, and then gave him Bonnie and Jared to run the services side of our tribe. And together we work as a body, as one. But the committees each do their own little matters and then bring to the board for a full report. And yet you might look at the minutes from the tribe that we send out and wonder, why is Les always making the motions? And why is Theresa always seconding the motions? And why is there no debate for these motions? And so it should be explained that just by protocol, the chairman of the committees make the motions, and then one of the committee members seconds the motions. And there's really no discussion that's occurring during these motions, because all the work that had been done to get us to the board meeting day would have been done during the prior week at what we call committee meetings. And so Theresa and Teri and I sit down on typically Wednesdays before the board and have all the discussion, the pros and the cons behind each motion, and we decide which ones are going to make it to recommendation to the board. And so by Saturday, by the time you read the minutes, all the work's been done. So rest assured, though, that every motion that comes forward does get a lot of debate. And so I'm going to move on. And I talked about this beautiful retail center that we're in inside of Quilceda Village. And the membership will recall when this Quilceda Village was just a stand of trees. When we opened this new bridge right alongside the retail center here, the bridge went into Marysville, and on the other side it went into a stand of trees. And we built this gorgeous Quilceda Village over the last 20 years. And something that Tulalip membership can be very, very proud of. But when we started this process back in 1996, and that was my first year as an elected board member, we went into Quilceda Village with a very specific notion that we were going to someday realize a tax benefit, that we felt that any commerce on the reservation, the sales tax benefit from that should be Tulalip's. And so we entered on into basically a 20-year journey on gaining those taxes. So I'm going to maybe ask you, Theresa, to talk a little bit about where we're at with our, and the membership wants to know, what are we doing with our taxes? We never ever hear about it. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Right. Our tax case against the state of Washington and Snohomish County is a preemption case. And so the goal is to show that we preempt them as a government and as a federal city, and so that we will have 100% of the sales tax. In that case right now, we just went through all the declarations, and so they interviewed a number of Tulalip people, a number of state people, county people, to show who has a vested interest, because it'll come down to the Bracker analysis test. The tribe and the federal government, or the state and Snohomish County, is who has the vested interest, is what the case will be decided on. And we're fully confident that Tulalip and the federal government will win in this and preempt the state. And so that means the state we will then be the sole owners of that 36+ million that's created here in our federal city. And so that case should start seeing trial in the fall. They're saying September, maybe October, we'll see the inside of a courtroom. Right now, it's just a whole lot of gathering of interviews and papers going back and forth and huge amounts of files. And so it's exciting time. It'll be one of our biggest cases we've had since the Judge Bolt.
Well, and all of Indian country across this nation is watching Tulalip very, very closely with its tax case, because they think they're going to get a benefit from it. And Tulalip took a very, very unique approach to getting our taxes. And I got to say, the architect behind that was Mike Taylor, way back in the early 90s, mid-90s. And one of our former board members, though, was really instrumental in following this process through, Glenn Gobin. And he had been working very closely with Lisa Coop, our expert attorney on this matter. And they got a strategy going that really is working for us. We got the federal government as our partner in suing the state of Washington. Federal government saying, yeah, Tulalip, you're right. You should own those taxes, and we're gonna go to bat for you. That was Glenn Gobin and Lisa Coop that modeled that. So I want to say kudos to both those for making that happen. We will likely win this case, my opinion. And when we win it, the state and the county will appeal it. And then when we win it again, they'll appeal it to a higher court. So it's going to take some time to work through the system. And so I want to caution membership that, you know, this isn't going to be a win and then all of a sudden we get this tax benefit. It's going to be several years to work through the court system. So FYI.
It'll most likely end up with the United States Supreme Court.
That is correct. And right on the same level as the Bolt decision. The Bracker case was decided back in 1982, and it too worked its way clear to the Supreme Court. And so we fully expect that to happen here. Pretty exciting times for Tulalip. Just recently, the Quilceda Village Council decided that it was going to relinquish the cannabis store development and the subsequent medical cannabis development back to the board of directors, and we have been moving in that direction in creating a separate independent business council away from Quilceda Village, because Quilceda Village is a government. And so we're well on our path to creating a team led by the board of directors to get our cannabis store open. And so Teri, I want to ask you a little bit about cannabis. You've done a little bit of research on some of the local tribal operations that have been in, that started up, and we're a little bit behind them, but can you talk a little bit about where we're going with the cannabis and the new development of moving away from the retail center up to Key Bank?
Yes, thanks. It's really exciting about what we're doing. We're trying to move ahead on this and get it open. We're looking at September, so we have high hopes in getting everything done by then. But the other tribes that are in the area are sharing their information with us, sharing all of their documents and the best practices. But we're looking at putting it at Key Bank, and it's really exciting. We've started to look at the plans for the inside of the bank and how that will work, and looking at the possibility of, well, it's definitely going to happen, a drive-through, which is unique to the state, that we're waiting to get all of our policies in place and the state compact that we're working on. But the tax benefit that's going to help us here is phenomenal. It's going to be, it's a 37% plus the regular tax on top of that. So a portion of that will be definitely for the tribal government to utilize. That's the way I understand it. But it's really exciting about the job opportunities that are going to be here. We're talking about security, cashiers, inventory control. So there's, all kinds of opportunities for our people to find employment through this. But the bottom line is we will be making a profit. And then going into the medical, and that's really exciting. The medical research is where we're looking at. Les has been the champion on that one, leading that. That has some exciting, the health benefits of the cannabinoid oil. So,
yeah, so I'll talk about that for just a minute. I have long time been an advocate for cannabis oil because I know of its miracle qualities in its healing properties. And those are all basically conjecture because nobody's stepped out and proved it clinically. And so I'm hoping that someday Tulalip develops a laboratory and a testing facility on the reservation, and that's a little ways down the road. We want to get the recreational store opened immediately, start turning out some profits that we can then turn into medical, what I call drug discovery. And the potential behind medical drug discovery and selling that to the world is enormous. And so we hope to travel that path soon. Likewise, Theresa, we've got the plant farm property that we acquired several years ago. And recently the board decided that we want to do something with that property rather than just let it sit. So maybe you can talk a little bit about our dreams with the plant farm.
My dream is sustainable living. Okay. And if we were able to take the plant farm and make that into a sustainable living project for our entire tribe, grow our own food, produce our own, that's one of those pillars of just connecting with the indigenous roots is harvesting our own food. And so if we were able to teach our youth and teach our children and have them growing our traditional foods right here and being able to access them, free at cost. And there's so many great programs set up. So Warm Springs, they actually split out 2 acres and they'll give out 2 acres, 2 acres, 2 acres, and it's all meant for farming. And then the community comes together and says, what are you going to harvest this year? What are you going to grow? And then the next year they'll switch, right? Because your soils and taking care of it. And there's actually, it's youth doing it, and it's youth who are then doing grassroots selling their produce. And they're not only contributing to their elders, but they're then selling it on the market and so there's all these amazing things we could do with it. And so I'm just glad we're getting down the road of saying, let's start doing something, let's start growing something.
Let's do something with a property.
Yes.
We've had it for I don't know how many years, and it's we've really kind of just let it fall by the wayside. And so we've directed staff to step it up, clean it up, beautify the property, and then between us 3, we will make a recommendation on how we're going to develop that property. Exciting opportunities. So the membership's probably wondering what we're doing with the Quilceda Creek Casino and the Justice Center. We haven't had a whole lot of discussion on that. So the casino itself has been in the works for quite some time. And we just recently made a determination that why are we delaying the building of a hotel alongside our casino? And Teri, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about our phenomenal success here at Tulalip is driving all of our hotel visits to the neighbors because we don't have enough room. Yeah. So let's chat a little bit about that.
So we've had some discussion on this because all of that business is going to the neighbors, and it's offering the hotel rooms at it'll be at a more of a family wage rate, but it will bring so much to our business, and it made sense in putting it in now rather than doing construction. Once we have our casino open, and then having the construction start again. And we have found some ways to save other money to assist us in this project, but I'm really excited about getting our temporary justice center, the property over at Hewlett Packard, done and ready for our police department and our court. That is going to be a phenomenal area, and there's a lot of room for growth for them. And we've finalized the plans, and what we're doing a lot with the business committee is we're trying to kick everybody into gear and getting this stuff done. And so we can start building our casino that needs to be done too.
So, and kudos to the board of directors for finally deciding to buy that, what was known as the Hewlett Packard property. 11-acre piece of property that we now own, and that's 19 acres. Okay, thank you for correcting me. I thought it was 11. And so that will become our new justice center and our police department. And when we talk about the hotel construction beginning soon, just so the membership knows, we will be bringing this to the membership in a special general council meeting before we make any move towards that. And so we're in the process of gathering all the data and what we think the expense might be, and then we're going to go in front of the council, the people, and make that presentation.
I think it's good to note too that we'll have to demolish the old casino. Yeah. We cannot move departments or other things in. We'll really need to take that building down. And that land is still ours, and we will still do something with it, but we don't want to move anyone in because that building has been added on, and we just need a fresh start.
You mean we're going to tear down the current Quilceda Creek Casino? Yes, and we should. That building is it's a fire trap. It's a mess, and so the last board meeting in May, I believe, we presented and received permission to engage a consultant to assist the business committee with master planning that 4th Street area. And so we want to get ahead of the curve, even though it's 2 years away from tearing down dismantling the current casino. We want to be ahead of the curve and know what we're going to do with that property, because it is a really, really great piece of property that we can turn into a big revenue stream. Also, we are moving in a direction of consolidating our construction departments. We've got, we've grown so big as a tribe with a multitude of different construction departments at Quilceda Village, at the casino, at the tribal government, and at the housing department. And so, Teri, maybe you can talk a little bit about where we might go with a consolidated department.
We're looking at several things. One thing is consistency in policies and procedures, but to also looking at maybe some government contracting and going outside of the tribe to do projects that will be of profit to the tribe as a whole. It's kind of the concept that a lot of the native corporations from Alaska do. So they do, and the government contracting is sole source, so it can be a really good revenue.
And they make a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah, 8A contracting is an opportunity that I think we've let slide by us as a tribe for way too long. So your former Taro experience will help us get down that path in developing 8A contracting opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see where we at here. So the mid-year budget report, the treasurer's responsibility, that's me, is coming up on June 22nd, which is by the time this reaches the membership, it'll be right around the corner. And we're going to be talking about where we're at currently year to date with our budgets, and we're in pretty good shape, and the membership will get to hear that. But where we're not in very good shape, Theresa, is grants, federal grants, and this is really becoming an issue with the board and monitoring where we're going in the future with grants. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Right, so the president came out with his FY 2018 budget, and why this makes such a big deal for us is our Tulalip tribal government is funded at $84 million a year in grants. And the president's budget almost eliminates over half of that. And so that 84 million, that pays for 58 employees. And those 58 employees, they are in natural resources, they are at the police department, they're in our IHS, in our health clinic. It's all over, it's widespread.
Big impact.
It's a huge impact. So people are saying, why would you prepare for budget cuts when we're doing great, right? Business is wonderful, revenue is coming in. But the fact is the president wants to take the funding and move it into defense. And so he is taking billions of dollars and wants to build up defense, which means you take it from somewhere. And so our natural resources would lose 35% of their funding, along with the majority would be hitting natural resources, the biggest hit. And so our team is looking at it saying, okay, what do we do? Worst case scenario, 58 jobs, we are not going to be funded in 2018.
Just gone.
Yeah. And then, so what do we do? How do we pick that up? Where will those fundings come from? How do you make up $84 million? And a lot of grants are 2-year grants, 3-year grants. And so they're broken up into, so it won't just affect us in 2018, but it will be 2019, 2020. And until we get a new president, really. And so right now, the process for the budget is Congress, so the Senate and the Congress members sit down and say, what will they take from it? They're creating their budget. So our staff has been really diligent on saying, these are the #1 grants that our tribe depends on. And natural resource, we said, put your list together, and there's 6 pages of #1 grants. And so it's really important that we just are aware of it. We know what could happen next year, because what will we do? Will we let those jobs go away? Will we supplement those jobs? And so there is going to be a hit on us. We just don't know what it is. And so we're reaching out to Senator Murray, Senator Cantwell, Rick Larson is our congressman, and saying, here's our need, here's what you need to preserve, as well as maintaining our treaty responsibility as the federal government. And so the ACA, what is it, the American Affordable Care Act, is included in being demolished, as well as Medicaid and Medicare. And the majority of our elders are on Medicaid or Medicare. And so that's a huge hit both ways in IHS and healthcare. And so we just have to be aware this could be coming. And as soon as next year, budget cuts could be hitting our government.
Well, we've got a lot of work to do as a business committee to help offset that. And I can assure the membership that every one of those 58 people want their department to be at that top priority. Right. There's no low priority. They're all top priority. And we're going to be challenged with, and so we're managing our budgets very carefully this year, because we expect that we're going to have to fund some of those positions or just let them go. And so we're diligently trying to find new sources of revenue, and that's our task as business committee members. I wanted to touch on really, which is not a business committee matter, but really important to all of us. We're at that time of year, June, high school graduation. So I'm going to ask Teri maybe to talk a little bit about our graduation rates and our kids and our future.
It's really exciting. I've been going to several of the graduation prep meetings because my daughter's one of those graduates. So, yes. Good job. But it's really exciting. It seems like we're back-to-back celebrations right now with everything that's going on. We have 2 graduations in one night and then one the following night. So, but what we're seeing is a lot of our graduates are already prepped for college, and that's what's been really good. But we also want the tribal membership to know about the workforce needs, that we need workers, but we do need people to go to college and bring that expertise back to the tribe to share, in our workforce. Throughout all of our businesses and the newly developing businesses we have, we will need workers, so.
All right, well, and congratulations to all the graduates that are stepping up this year. I think we've got a record number of kids and college graduates that we're going to be honoring, so exciting times for them and for us. Grandmother's Day. We of course declared this year the Year of the Woman, and here I am sitting with my committee, majority women, you two. And so we decided we were going to step out and we're going to honor grandmothers as a first step towards honoring women in general. And a big day for Tulalip, very significant day coming up in sometime in mid-August. We haven't quite nailed down a date, but maybe Theresa, you can close out our interview with another non-business committee member discussion, but how exciting Grandmother's Day is to you.
Right. So I can't wait till we are able to all come together and celebrate our life givers and the ones who've helped us be who we are, really. And so it's such an honor to be able to be a part of the team, to recognize our grandmothers, recognize our mothers, and just the women of our community. And the great part about it is it'll be the kickoff. It'll be the start of how we can uphold each other, how we can uplift each other in our community. And from the grandmothers event, there's been a discussion about having a historical training or historical trauma training. And so what does historical trauma look like in Tulalip when we had a boarding school here on our reservation? What does it look like that, let's see, what does historical trauma look like in Tulalip in 2017? And what are we carrying that we don't even know we're carrying? And as women, we seem to recognize that a lot sooner than others of what we're carrying, that we're carrying our grandma's things forward. And so how can we find ways to not do that and not have to carry that weight anymore? And so the grandmother's event is just one example of what we can continue to bring into highlighting wellness, healing, love, support, and showing that to our women and showing that to our community of saying we recognize you for the amazing brilliance that you are and we thank you. And then we look at ourselves and say, how can we be the best we can be today in 2017 and go forward? So to me, it's like the full being able to just, whatever that desire is, it gives us this opportunity and it gives us that platform to have that discussion together as a community.
So it's really an opportunity of healing for our community. And the grandmothers are so important to who we are as an Indian people, and to be able to recognize and honor them in a very significant way that I don't think Tulalip's ever seen a day like we're going to have in August. We are going to close down our tribal governments for a day at Quill City Village and Tulalip, and bring our community together to share our grandmothers with them. And I just want to put that out there, that day is really going to be a special day for Tulalip and what it means to us. So.
It'll also be a great day for grandma shopping. So those of us, there's a number of us who no longer have grandmothers, but there's a number of grandmothers in our community. And so just traditionally, you've been able to go and find a new grandmother and be accepted into their family. And so, yeah, and so my sisters and I, we always joke, because Canoe Journey, we use that as a time to find grandmothers, because our grandmother passed away when we were younger. And so saying you still always need a grandmother, though, in your life, no matter what age you are. And so it's an opportunity to make those connections and or find an auntie too and be like, hey, I got, you know.
And excellent, you know, I was surprised that when we've seen the numbers, we have 183 grandmothers, Tulalip member grandmothers over the age of 62. And you know, that's a big number. And hopefully every one of those 183 grandmothers show up. We're going to do this event in the Longhouse, and it's going to be a big day for Tulalip. And 183, and I know there's a lot of grandmothers out there that are under 62. Right. We don't
I'm a
want to forget
great-grandmother.
anybody. Yeah, we don't want to forget anybody. If you're a grandmother or even if you're just a woman, we want you to come out and celebrate who we are as Tulalip. So we will close this second business committee report out with a thank you for watching, and we will be coming at you in the next month with some more information, hopefully some new information and some new opportunities for Tulalip. So thank you for watching.